Hello, I'm FPX Toycat, and I can't start this week's video without mentioning first of all my rotten luck I've had in the end this past week, because on Monday I had 5 dragons spawn after going through an end gateway. Through this one, okay, that was scary. Oh no, what the heck? What just happened? No idea how, no idea why, but it actually turns out it was 12 dragons, so much easier to deal with. My end is wrecked as a result of that, and that's kind of sad. But then later on in the same week, while doing my Wooden Tools Only run, what ended up happening is my end crashed the game just while walking along and bridging along in the end. Minecraft just crashed. What is with the end? And although crashes themselves are fairly sad, we all do have to admit, what made it way sadder was that when I loaded up the world again, because it was a half slab, Minecraft Bedrock's engine that works out where you should respawn in the world has this weird glitch of half slabs that basically spawned me below it, and then I immediately fell into the void with all of my stuff, including my enchantment table and everything I collected over the entire run combined. We're gonna get back to this. It's gonna be the best. We just have to focus, get this road built, get to the end islands. Just get over there and then... No! Basically, this week sucked when it came to my end because all of the work I put into placing this glass has been, shattered a little bit. And that's why I've kind of realized, you know what, rather than just letting this happen every now and then, because weird Minecraft bugs are building up dragons every now and then, I'm going to go for a lot of effort to, one, make sure there aren't just random dragons cached, because the way this bug happened is there was formerly a bug that duplicated end dragons, and then there was a bug that moved them, basically, and it's something to do with that portal. I'm going to make sure every portal is clear and free from dragons, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fight the dragon more times to get more portals. It's something I've decided, it's something I've kind of wanted to do forever. Not that I use the portals anyway, but I want to have a complete end before I, cover it up in glass again, just in case for some reason in a future update we need extra end gateways. So basically, to future-proof my end, rather than just fixing it, again, this is a thing that's happened in lots of countries, lots of war times. When everything gets destroyed, like, the UK during World War II or any other country during a giant bombing campaign, you might as well rebuild it in a better way and rebuild it in a way that, acknowledges the things that you would have done if you'd have done it from the start. It sucks to see something you worked on be destroyed, but at least let's try and turn in something positive, which is why there's 2 big things I'm doing in today's video to help me rebuild this end. One needs to be sand collection, of course, because sand turns into glass. Fun fact. There's a Minecraft tip I'm sure you haven't heard ever before. Did you know when you smelt sand, it makes glass? How crazy. So I need to go get myself some sand, and I actually found recently, while looking around my world, just a weird deposit of sand I never collected because of a weird project. I finished 99% because there's nothing more Toycat than getting 99% for a project and then figuring, you know what, it's done forever, and not thinking about it again. Because right over here, I have part of the river which I drained, again, 99% off. I left out maybe like 3 or 2 water source blocks here, but also I never collected the sand that I used along the rest of the river. So we're going to collect some sand, and we're going to, obviously use that later to make some glass. We're going to put it in the furnace house. But the second thing I need to do, right after a good night's sleep, of course, everyone's favorite part of the Minecraft day, but I need to go to the Nether, I've decided, so that is exactly what we're going to do. Also, just a weird little thing, because this is going to be a loud episode. Have you noticed how the sounds every now and then get slightly weird, like they're distorted or corrupted in these Let's Plays? I'm going to quickly check my theory on why that is. Because what we're going to be doing right now is we're going to the Nether, where things tend to be quite loud, and we're going to be actually deliberately trying to find the loudest creature in there, because I need to make myself some new, the block is, I always forget the name of the block, but it's the End Crystal. It's super explosive, it's mostly used on servers for explosion fun, but I need a lot of these End Crystals. I need like 30-something of them, in fact, which means that all of these ghast tears I have, it's a good start to making more, but I need to get myself some ghast tears for potion making and for making more End Crystals anyway. Because in the end, I think I'm going to end up needing something like 60 or 56 end crystals, and 17 ghast tears won't get me there, so I need to get myself a lot of ghast tears. We're going to the Nether, and I'm going to quickly check something, just like unrelated to all of you, because, just actually... Because that right there should have fixed what the problem was. And all it was, in case you're curious, is I turned everything off and turned it on, or rather unplugged it and replugged it. And there's something kind of interesting about the fact that that always works in IT. Again, I've literally, I've done college for computing, for computer science stuff, and even there, like the number one thing that no one wanted to admit but always did work was just, try power cycling your router, try power cycling your device, and it'd work, and then you'd be like, well, it's not because I power cycled it, it's unrelated reasons. It's like the most embarrassing tech fault that always go sort of things. And it reminds me of something in Japanese meals that is really common that I always hate. Like, I guess it's Asian as a whole, but it's the idea of having like, you know, not fried pickle. It's like ginger pickle or something like that. Pickled ginger. It's this pink stuff they put on top of, by the way, certain dishes at Wagamama, a chain I eat at in the UK. But like, they put it out of a lot of like Asian dishes as like, oh yeah, this is in between, you know, like a certain number of bites, or when you switch between things to cleanse the palate. So you start again from scratch. Something about starting from scratch is very much hated. I feel like I hate it more than most people, but even if you don't consciously hate the idea of starting from scratch on things, it's something we all have a natural resistance towards, right? I mean, who doesn't, I'm gonna move my microphone real quickly, but who doesn't have a slight hatred towards the idea of like, oh, now I have to do something again, you know, like, now I have to make something bad just to make it good again. That doesn't seem useful. Even if you know it's true, even if you're objectively like, oh yeah, things actually are a lot better when you start again, when you know what you get into. It's just really hard to admit that on the spot. Also, to kill ghasts, this is probably not the most effective technique, but it is fun to kill them in midair because you get a critical hit, which means they die in one hit, at least currently. And then as long as you can find where their stuff dropped, which is sometimes the challenge, you can get yourself a really easy kill on the ghast right here. But yeah, basically, the idea of palate cleansing, the idea of starting something fresh because it's easier than you know, continuing from where you are. You know, I guess this is actually how some people feel about Minecraft worlds, right? It's really hard to say, and it's really hard to admit, and it's really just like ingrained inside of like the human brain that like, no, that not good, that not right. And that does get me super, super curious because, yeah, I hate it personally. Even though I know that, like, oh yeah, my next bite will taste so much better after this palate cleanser, I never do it, and I've never liked the idea personally. And it kind of, again, the situation you could say is analogous to my end right now. Like, I didn't want to have my end destroyed, but at least at least if it's destroyed and I have the opportunity, we might as well now destroy it all the way to get those, you know, end crystals going in, to get the dragons respawned, and that's why I'm in here in the end right, oh, in the never right now, rather, killing ghasts one by one to get their gunpowder, which is nice because it restocks my endless supply of fireworks if I so want it to, because I've got lots of paper on me, but also let's, apparently, I haven't picked up the gunpowder yet. I don't know. It took me forever to be like, where is the firework recipe? But, yeah, so we can, you know, kill the ghasts, get the end crystals, and therefore we can fight the dragons again in a way that we otherwise wouldn't have had the opportunity to. It's in a similar way. One of the things I think is the worst in life is moving house. When I was, you know, young, and I moved house a fair few times. I don't think that's standard for everyone, but, like, I moved maybe 3 times in my childhood, and you know, like, plus I've moved. I moved out once when I first was doing okay on YouTube, and like I had to help out my brother, and then I moved back in with my parents, and then I moved out again, and now at some point in the next year, I'll probably be moving once more. And there's something just hurts about the idea of like, oh no, I have to like take everything that I've, you know, put in a neat, organized place. All the places for things that I kind of just accept will be there forever. They're not actually forever. They're going to be removed and replaced. But as a result, I will have a more efficient house where I actually know how I live in a place and I can, you know, organize things better. But it doesn't feel great in that way. And yeah, anyway, that's a whole palate cleansing thing. Allow me to tell you about how my week went though, because, you know, the whole looking into a house thing is kind of like a medium-termish thing. My short term this week has really been like, on trying to enjoy January, I guess, because something I did every single year up until this point was I traveled for a decent amount of January, because if you don't know, January is a month that just doesn't matter on YouTube. Like, as far as like if you are trying to get results, it's hard to have, you know, like, I don't know, like, January is the blue month of the year, right? So you're never going to have, like, a massive viral crazy hit, probably anyway. And then even if you did, the revenue results of it are super, super low. So basically, January is, like, the month that a lot of YouTubers just say, like, you know what? I'm just not going to do any videos. I personally think I want to be there for the audience. I'd rather, you know, I care about you more than I care about just the bottom line by itself. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to leave forever. That seems a bit excessive. Also, I feel like it went on this cliffside somewhere, but I don't see where. Maybe it fell down. Okay, it did fall down. Well, you know, that defeats the point of all of that searching. But yeah, there's something about yeah, January that's like it's this whole interesting month. But I was like, you know what? I've done some stuff. I've got some videos. People are enjoying it. I'm gonna stream a bunch. Let's do something with my January though, just to enjoy the one time of the year where instead of taking time off and feeling like it's active, you know, like a few days off, I mean, and actively feeling like I'm killing the channel or killing people's expectations from it. It's like, well, you know, this is January. Everyone expects it to some amount, as long as I upload videos, which is the thing I care about most, the thing I feel like the viewers care about most. You know, it's cool what else we do. So I've been doing lots of like silly little subtasks. Like I've been I went on every line of the London Underground for a weird video that I don't think anyone else actually cares about. Like it's for a second channel thing, but I was like, you know what, that was a fun thing to do. I've been like just like I guess trying to take up more social opportunities than I normally would. Be like, you know what, every time someone asks, will I do something, I'm gonna be the cheerleader for it, and I'm gonna lead on my own thing. So like basically, this is like my social month of the year. I've been hanging out 3 times in a week, which I generally don't know. This is one of those cool things about humanity that it's wacky to me. We have no idea how social people actually are. I feel like we probably have like some study somewhere that's dove into like, oh yeah, the average person hangs out this many times in a week, and the average person has this number of friends. So I'm sure the data for that has to be somewhere in very loose terms. But most people, if you try to ask them socially, there's almost this like cool effect where you got to be like, oh no, I do stuff so often, and you just want to be like, okay, how often is this really? And the same, you know, everyone knows about the thing about you know, social media is the best version of you. If you post once a day on social media, then you're not going to post you waking up and feeling awful, or you clean your dishes. You're going to post your best once a day thing, or even less than once a day, as most people have on Instagram. You know, that social media can't reflect reality, and we kind of know that. But the point behind that is something that's existed before social media, and that is the idea that we almost need to seem like, you know, no one wants to admit that they are the level of social that they are. Everyone needs to seem cooler than that. Because one of the things, I don't know if this is true or not, but again, it doesn't affect my opinion, but like, most stupid things don't affect my opinion, and I find, based on society, actually I like to believe most stupid things don't affect my opinion, but I'm sure a lot of them do. Because, you know, we're all little monkey brains pretending we're better than that. But, yeah, basically one of the things that I don't believe affects my opinion is like, how many friends someone else has. Like, you know, if I'm your only friend, that's actually better for me, because now, you know, I am more, you're more likely to be loyal, you're more likely to care about this interaction we have. At least that's the theory, at least. At least, if I'm your only friend by choice, that's a good thing. If I'm your only friend because you've tried really hard and that's not going well, that's like, I wonder what went wrong and why here, friendo. But, yeah, basically, by the way, flying around killing ghasts is such a weird activity. I think I've done this, like, twice before. I don't even know if it's the most effective way, because farming ghasts is, like, one of those... It's a task you don't really get to do, so... and plus you wouldn't need to for literally an activity you need to do once in your world, because no one uses regeneration potions and crystals are a thing. But yeah, it's like, choosing to, one of the things that I believe genuinely does affect people's perception of each other is how social they are outside of just this. Like, how many people have you hung out with recently? Seeming like you've got other friends is cool, because it's like, wow, your social circle is so big. And I imagine that comes from somewhere in, like, the animal kingdom, where, like, oh yeah, you want to be around people who have connections because, you know, given that we are a social animal, we thrive on those connections that we can't personally form and thrive with, but maybe we can piggyback off someone else's, you know? Number of, like, weird things I've been to. You know, a number of stories I've had and people I've met that aren't people I'd ever want to meet myself, but a friend knew. Like, I think I've told the story about the house of the guy. I thought this was the coolest thing in the world, and a part of me still likes this. Like, the guy who just had, like, a snake tank with no snake in. I don't know if the snake was loose or if he sold the snake or whatever. He had, like, a bathroom that was just covered in, like, like, all the liquids from the bottles were clearly just, like, all over the bath, and it's like, do you clean in this every day, or what's the deal with that? Like, everything about this place was just messed up, and I loved it. It was, like, the most chaotic house I'd ever seen. He had, like, all the bills on the wall of, like, you know, every water company, power company, etc., contacting him saying, we will cut off your water by this date. And they're all pinned on there, and there's like 100 of them. And I was like, this is like a piece of art that represents how cool this fella is. I would never, I don't have the know-how to meet someone that into the drug world. But, you know, when you know people, you know, you see their connections second-handedly. And maybe that's why we like social stuff. But anyway, I've been doing a whole 3 things this week. Is that a lot? I don't actually know. Let's do a survey in the comments. Do you do a thing, excluding like school or work, because you know there are events you do that are like made slightly better by the presence of the social interaction you have, or the gender that you are attracted to, that you get to meet and talk with and smile and all that stuff. You know, like, but outside of those things, what would you? How often would you say you hang out with, or just do an activity in a week, whether that's movies, just literally going to I don't know, like going and sitting in a field together, having a picnic together without the picnic. Let me know in the comments down below. I would be fascinated by that because I generally think there's this inflation of what people think versus what there is. Because this is true in a lot of areas of life. I think so much of I've got this big thing like I like being honest with people, partially because it's way easier. Like, if you think that lying is, better than not lying, I understand why. There are lots of benefits to lying, in so many aspects of life. But when it comes to talking to people that you want to foster some form of a relationship with, perhaps, tell people the truth all the time. And I feel like a lot of society's problems come from that. Like, even like really dumb stuff, like, I'm not saying dumb stuff, but like, even like the most minor things, like, oh yeah, do you know that people who have, issues with, actually, we'll say of like a child, the having of it not going well, either unintentionally or intentionally, both sides of it, people get like really messed up about that because they feel like they're the only person in it, right? There's a lot of things where you feel like you're the only person who ever have gone through a thing. That's why I feel like comedy really helps. That's why I feel like, YouTubers and having someone who's there to be honest about their stuff really helps. I think, too much, like, when so many of the things that we like and focus on are important, but the moment it gets to dishonesty, it makes you question why and what and how, etc. And yeah, basically, this is ToyCat's rant against dishonesty. And also the other thing that's been going on in my mind this week. Okay, we're gonna take you out. Oh man, I messed that one up. He was literally in front of me, but I had the wrong item out. Anyway, so we are finding very few ghast tears, or they're all dropping out into the sea of nothingness. It's one of those two things, and I'm not sure which. Although, here's a bit of gunpowder that I missed. And I feel like I just saw some ghast tears down there. Am I crazy? I think I'm slowly going crazy. But, also we're going to check the elytra. Always important to do when flying over lava. Always important to do. By the way, yes, I've got a couple of big projects I've been thinking about survival-wise. Like, again, one of the things I want to do in my January, this is weird, because it sounds like the sort of thing that you can't take my word for this on this one, because I have every incentive to be like, you know what the best game is? Minecraft. You know what I do after a long day of work? I watch this guy IBX ToyCat and his wonderful Minecraft videos. But yeah, no, I want to tell you about something, because in my like little last few days of this like month where I'm like, you know what, we're gonna just like kind of relax on everything way more than we need to, because people like to say relax all the time. It's fine, but like, you know what? If the firefighter relaxed when your house was burning down, if he's like, I just need some me time, I just need some time, my own little mental space, I need whatever people call things these days, then your house would burn down. We need people to stress about pretty important things in society, or society doesn't work, in my opinion. And yeah, especially when it comes to like, oh yeah, this is a little business / livelihood. Oh wow, that was impressive. And definitely planned. But yeah, so one of the things I think is important is like, you gotta stress yourself sometimes. You'll have deadlines sometimes. There's a reason they exist. Like, there's a lot of pressures in the world that aren't just there out of pure cruelty. They're there out of someone else's niceness, right? Like any obligation, any thing that you want that is good comes from someone else's hard work and nicety, for the most part anyway. Do you want, let's take the most basic example, McDonald's, right? The people there, they have to work, or you wait longer for your thing and you get mad. We are all both producers in this world. We all work in this world as something. It might be, actually, statistically, 98 or 92% in the UK of people work as something, whether that be a student, whether that be whatever your job is, etc. So like, if you're one of those 92% in some form of something, you're doing your role in this world, and in exchange, you're selling your time to the world, and then in exchange, when you want to buy buy the products of other people's times, like burgers, etc., those things happen. It's really nice. It's really cool. But anyway, so I'm going to enjoy the last like 5 days of kind of goofing, not really goofing off, but just like being much more relaxed about things and like, okay, this is kind of fine. And then, over the course of like the next week, I guess when that ends, that's when I'm going to be like extra, because, I guess already we're getting to the stage where it's like, I want to work on big fun projects. And also, one of the things, because I was thinking, I was just like chilling in the evening. I was like, I can play a game in the evening. The game that just always attracts the most attention from me, unless like I'm really into something else. Like I had a really big Outer Worlds kick, but I finished that now, and now it's just like I want to get into some Minecraft again. I want to do this in the Nether. Like for instance, over here somewhere, I'm gonna try and find it right now. Over here, oh, let's keep looking. Let's kill Ghast while we look around my Nether. What a great idea to combine two things at once. But you know, I had this like idea of like, oh yeah, what if we cover? There is cobblestone here already. What if I cover a pretty substantial area in? Did I get the Ghast here? I feel like I didn't, but I saw it drop. But yeah, I want to cover an entire in glass, in ice actually, because I love the. Well, actually, should we cover an entire part of the Nether in glass? I don't want to because I don't like repeating the same thing just for fun. But that would look pretty cool, right? It'd get exploded by Ghast. That's a terrible idea. I've changed my mind in the space for a few seconds there. But yeah, basically I have this area over here in my Nether. You might recognize it from such great projects like the Ice Islands and so on and so forth. But there's a Nether fortress here anyway. It's actually quite close to a second Nether fortress. There's like these two Nether fortresses that aren't too far apart. What if I bridge the gap with some ice? And what if I, instead of making this just a boring fortress that like, again, it's so uglily cut out from my world, I don't like this. What if instead it was like a beautiful ice fortress on top of the main one? You can see I placed 6 blocks there just to protect my portal. But wouldn't that be cool? And the answer, it's a rhetorical question. The answer is yes, Toycat, that would be cool. And it's just something I want to kind of work on in my spare little evenings. And the other project is obviously going to be killing dragons. That's not something that's so fun, but it's something that's like, this is necessary. I have to kill the Ender Dragon a bunch of times now. And yeah, that's where this Let's Play comes in. Because it makes me realize something again. That like, the best, because you know, I'm really passionate about Minecraft. I only make videos about things I'm passionate about. I'm really lucky in that I get to be in that niche of the world. A lot of people, they hate what they do. And they're like, you know, please kill me. Let me go to making vlogs. Or like, their whole life is committed to trying to do things that aren't the thing they're popular for. Because they got popular for something they just tried out and happened to be good at, not like, you know. And I feel the sadness of Minecraft YouTubers who are stuck in that bubble. I heard it burn. Don't get me wrong, I don't think anyone, you can't take joy in anyone being stuck at something they don't want to do. But it's something that's cool to me because it's like, oh yeah, like, especially in this Let's Play world, it's just like, you know, this is you know, I'm making videos, you know, effectively being paid in the indirect way that YouTube, you know, algorithms work, because obviously these videos are way less recommended and therefore technically getting paid less and therefore technically taking away from the rest of the channel. But like effectively, when I make these survival projects that go well, like the 55,000 blocks of glass, you know, effectively getting paid to, you know, do something I would love to do in Minecraft Survival anyway, and previously would have just been like, oh yeah, this is a thing I'm doing just for me. By sharing it with the world, you know, people enjoy that and it's like a form of payment. And that's like, I don't know, it's like one of those things where you always, oh no, okay, we got it. You always have to step back and appreciate sometimes some of the things in your life. Because, again, I've been having like a super bad week with the videos. I don't know why, if it's something, oh no, okay, we're not going to get it. Sad for those Ghast tears, though. Sad for those Ghast tears. But, so yeah, this entire area, I've been like mentally playing around with the ideas of like, maybe I could have like ice, packed ice, and blue ice, like mix them up and make like a fun little fortress or something along here. But, yeah, basically I've been playing around with the idea, at least mentally for a while now, and it made me realize, like, you know, sometimes you should be appreciative, because things are going on really rough otherwise, like, again, everything's in relation, like, rough in the sense that all the other things combined, but you know, that is the human experience. We measure everything, you know, by relative terms, not by absolute terms. No matter how bad things are for you, you're not the worst sufferer on earth, but that doesn't mean you don't deserve sympathy. That doesn't mean things aren't going bad for you, as much as, you know, abusive parents like be like, well, I had it much worse when I was younger. And it's like, well, it doesn't help me now, really, does it? It makes me feel worse, in fact. So it's like, oh, wow. Yeah, things are good for me and I feel this awful. Clearly, I won't be able to handle when it actually gets bad. So, I don't know, maybe it's just me that had that as a thing growing up. But, yeah, it's a real truth that, like, yeah, things are all relative. And, you know, I had a relatively awful, I'd say, like, last 3 weeks or so. Like, even when, like, my best, the things that I put the most time into, the things that took, like, an entire day, are just, like, immediately dropped in the YouTube. YouTube actually tells you, like, they're pretty honest. Again, it's a machine. They might be brutal, but at least they're honest. Yeah, I don't mind brutal as long as it comes. Sorry, I don't mind. Yeah, brutal's fine as long as it comes with transparency and honesty. But yeah, basically the YouTube system's just like, we didn't recommend this video to as many people because the people who did click it didn't watch it for as long. And it's like, oh man, that, you know, like that one stings. Like, oh yeah, I made this video that I think my subscribers would really like, and YouTube disagrees. And honestly, all that is that's like, YouTube is a game that is half about how good you can, how much you can make things that you think people would like to see, and how much you can market that content, not just to them, but, you know, like, I guess, basically to them, but to the all-seeing, all-knowing algorithm that actually determines, no, okay, you know, I need to get better at this. Okay, let's try this again. Am I gonna get, okay, there's nothing there. But, yeah, it's, that's something I've been like, you know what, rather than being just bummed about it, I realized, like, you know what, these super low moments where it feels like nothing I do, no matter how much time is going in, is going to be successful, which, you know, YouTube fosters to the best of their ability. It's really quite nice of them. Rather than just being like, well, this is this. It almost was to me like a, oh man. It was almost like a palate cleansing moment, right? To bring it back to that starter thing, because you better believe this was planned. Full circle is the best way to bring up any emotional rant, but it was kind of like this beautiful palate cleansing moment where I realized, okay, oh man, this is dangerous. I shouldn't be doing this. Okay, that was perhaps the worst idea I've ever had. Yep, you know, I don't have a totem on me. I don't have any fire resistance. I'm just chilling, hoping that didn't happen. And then, you know what, should we go back to the overworld? You know, I think we've had a good time in the end right here. We've got enough for 36 end crystals. That's a healthy number. So we're just going to kill the ghast we run across on the way back. We're not going to get too obsessive about it. Because that... Okay, right in the lava. This is the problem with the never having too much lava in. I reckon this could be solved by making an area for your nether covered in ice. Just saying. Actually, you'd want to cover it in, like, cobblestone so it doesn't get exploded. Oh, I bet that's a fun project idea. Like, have a big cobblestoned area. Or, like, use a red block. What's the easiest to pin? Oh, I guess Netherrack would be the easiest to be red block. But, like, again, I love these ideas spin in my head, and I'm like, oh, I could cover a whole area. And it's cool that, like, oh, and then I could also show the progress as I go along. Because I love seeing people's survival works, and I love inspiring people to do that themselves. And it's cool that I get to inspire people like that every day on this channel. But, yeah, basically, I kind of realized, like, the last few weeks of, like, trying the things that have been historically successful on the channel and having them all fall flat despite the amount that I like them, etc. Even though that is a painful experience, no one's gonna be like, actually, I really like that. I like when I make a thing and then a machine says no. Even though that is the truth for here. So we've got now 35 plus the 9 right here. That brings us up to 44, 11 dragon kills. So we only need like another, probably 3 or 4 of those to go. So we can do that sometime soon. But we also need glass, because if we fight the Ender Dragon that many times, you know what we're going to need? We're going to need some more sand. So I've got some empty shulker boxes, which is actually a pure coincidence from earlier. But I'm going to say I planned this, because I knew that was a thing. I'm going to fill at least one of them. Actually, we can just take it straight to the furnace area. Also planned, because I'm just that much of a savant. And yeah, we're going to take all the sand up. That some of it's naturally spawned, some of it was placed here to remove the water, because I mostly use sponges, but I use sand for the dividing barriers. But either way, yeah, I feel like keeping this here is kind of a weird thing overall. So we're gonna take the sand with us. It's gonna look weirder when we remove the sand, I imagine. But again, we want to have a eradicated sand area in this world. Like all the natural sand outside of specifically approved places, it's gonna be gone. And I want to see how that looks in the end, because you know what? It's hard not to be curious about what the world looks like minus an important block. So that's why I have to do these things. Anyway, yeah, something about, like, all of that going wrong was, like, a moment where, again, I was just, like, having a real rough time with it and just, like, having no motivation to do anything. Because how can you be motivated when the results don't match? You know, when there's a gap between your expectations and the results, you can deal with that in a lot of ways. And to me, it was like, well, you know, clearly there's no point in doing things. And, you know, we had some weird days as a result. But, you know, from that downtime, from that things feeling awful about something that you can't tell anyone about. Because even right now, there's people thinking like, oh, you think that's bad? Wait till you hear how it is for me, Mr. Toy Cat. And it's like, yeah, you know what? You're right. You are 100% right on those feelings. But also, it doesn't mean you're not a jerk. But the real thing is, like, I realized that it's exactly like the palate cleansing thing I mentioned earlier. If you don't have the sorts of moments where things... If you could live the exact same, everything goes exactly the same forever, if there didn't have to be moments of reflection and, you know, reconstruction from scratch, etc., if you didn't have to have these moments, then I don't think we would grow as people. If we didn't, you know, grow forwards, if you don't have a moment of everything being destroyed, you can't grow out of that. Like, I really do think it's like, this is like a law of destruction or something along those lines, but in the same way that despite the bombings of London being the worst thing the city's ever seen in terms of its population and anything else, like, in case you're curious, by the way, that London's only returned to its, like, pre-World War II population levels, like, only somewhat recently. But when you have a large-scale destruction, it's really, really bad on the surface, but it can come with some nice benefits from reworking things out in a better way. You shouldn't ever hope for destruction. I mean, destruction is the number of bad things that come about with, you know, I don't know, like whether it's a depression in your real life or whether it's a sadness or whatever it is, but like the moment where you feel like everything is hopeless is the best moment to then try and find the hope again. And you know, I don't know, I had the moment today where I was just going, I went for a walk as like a stimulate my brain thing, and I was like, oh yeah, you know, honestly, this is an opportunity to try a brand new start of thing. Because if everything's, you know, like, every single bad thing has, like, some small clarification of niceness. It might be super small, and, you know, in a lot of cases it probably will be. But, like, I don't know, take this, for example. Now we can try out a lot of weirder ideas. I can make some more survival project videos and just focus on those. You know, like, this week, we may miss a video. But in exchange, it means I can work on these big projects that I've just mentioned, like killing a lot of Ender Dragons and placing a lot of ice in my end, which my Nether rather, which will be kind of fun. But as well as having you know, these super things to work on, you know, like that allows me to do something more fun, and potentially they're gonna be very different in terms of their end goals. And also it means that as well as just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna try some survival projects that I haven't done yet, like, you know, kind of the same but different, but really different, and hopefully more appealing in some way. But as well as doing that, by the look at this, we've now officially... Oh, wait, we gotta, like... There we go. As of that, I believe we've officially drained the river. Oh, no, it's a stubborn go with lots and lots of extra blocks, it seems. There we go. I thought it was literally just the 3 on the top, and then we'd be done. But it looks like, yeah, this is a whole, like... We're gonna have to really fill this bomb to top. Oh, the last ones now. Last ones now. After this block, we'll have finished the project. And you know what? This goes back to what we did last week. Every 3 projects we start, we've got to finish one. And we're about to have finished this one, it looks like. And isn't that cool? Although first we should go to bed. If I'm not mistaken, in this little hut, because this is built as like a little fishing hut, I never used it for fishing. I just used my main area, which was maybe a dumb idea. Because I guess the scale around this hut just isn't big enough. Like, I think I built it in... I built it to, like, center in this area right here. But in retrospect, centering isn't a good idea when you want a big... You want to have, like, a lot of fishing water in front of you on the little fishing deck. And in reality, we just didn't have much. It doesn't feel like a nice place to go fishing. Maybe it's the dark water after the updated Quadtech. I don't know for sure. I built this forever ago. I think it's... I still think it's pretty rad, personally. But either way, there's a bed in here is my point. It's all the essentials. The fish, the bed, the furnace. And, yeah, let's go to sleep. And let's continue on the next day. Because, you know, isn't it cool? Finishing a project, to me, doesn't actually have many feelings of success. But maybe that's, like, a thing I should, like, rewire into my brain. Maybe, like, every time I finish something, I need to, like, personally reward myself and be like, yeah, you did the thing. But, yeah, there's 1 block left here. Do you want to savor this moment together, Internet? Do you want to all enjoy the moment where Toy Cat actually finishes a project that he said he would do? Not only am I going to have started a project, not only will that project have been places, but also the words I didn't think I could say. A project I have begun is now reaching its end. You know, I have a few words that I'd like to say for this special occasion. My first word is going to be the, and my second word is going to be nice. Which is not actually a real sentence if you think about it. But you know, that's not what's important right now. What's important is the fact that we have officially done a thing. And yeah, as a result, we have this. I'll just show you from a bird's eye perspective. I have plenty of fireworks. I had a river that was next to my... It was actually going through the desert. And I figured, like, rather than keeping the river there, because that looks kind of weird, and I'd have to keep sand on the sides anyway, like I've done at the edge where it meets the ocean, rather than doing that, what if instead I had the river just drain out instead? So there's this weird valley that you could probably tell is a river if you're thinking about it, but otherwise it does look like we just have a valley going on right here. Because Minecraft SUP does sometimes generate with like dry rivers, at least the old console version did. Don't ask me why it did, I genuinely couldn't tell you. But yeah, it's kind of cool to see, right? It's kind of cool to see. Anyway, so yeah, I bet this week the opportunity I've had given to me by the demise of even the videos I cared about the most and put the most love and thought into, is I can try some new things. Also, the biggest series on the channel, even though clearly I don't expect much of them anymore, those things are happening early February. We've almost finished the next server project, and also almost finished editing the last Minecraft Our X run. Like, those are big kind of tentpole series on the channel. They're two of the things that led to this channel having a revival. From literally, 2 years ago, and now, or like a year and a half ago to this point, I was working out the options for like post YouTube. Like, where are we going from here? Like, it was not going to be a sustainable thing if what happened kept carrying on. And we went from there to like, oh yeah, and now things are very wildly successful to a level that I couldn't even imagine at the point. And it's cool. You know what? I have a thing that I think we all measure success differently. To me, because I didn't have money growing up, I measure success in a lot of monetary terms. I love it's, maybe this is like, maybe people don't like this, like, wow, Toycat's so money focused. But, you know, money's the thing that makes all the other things that you might care about happen. And personally, you know, having not had a huge, or even any amount of it, like, at all, like, there was always, like, an idea of pocket money, but it was never regular, because, my mother, like, had to work, like, as a waitress, like, by herself in a single parent. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons why it didn't happen, but, like, just as a kid, you don't know, you're just like, there's no money, this is a thing that does all the things that I want, and I can't have any of those things. So, like, I've always been, I guess, money-minded more than average, and, like, personally, that means I measure, you know, success by those metrics, but success by any metrics is, like, a cool feeling, and I'm hoping to one day feel that again. It's cool that even, like, the live streaming has kind of filled the gap during January. I was like, oh yeah, strangers give me money in order to say things or just to support things. It's a cool feeling, right? Like, you get the feeling of, you know, making a thing that you like exist, and I get the feeling of buying Burger King Whoppers. I don't know why I said Burger King Whoppers. This whole video is actually sponsored by Burger King. That's right, head on down to your nearest Burger King if you want to get some free burgers. Because, you know, actually, I've had this worst idea forever. And I want people to hear it, because I think this is gold. I think the Burger King because there's an ad in the UK where Burger King's like, you know, they won't sell you anything that's not a Whopper. Like, if you ask for a cheeseburger, they're like, nah, you have a Whopper, thank you very much. But, yeah, basically, which is, by the way, a bad advertising campaign. Like, customer choice, nah, not here at Burger King. But, like, you know, like, have it your way. No, have it our way, you suckers. But, yeah, one of the things that I find interesting about it is, like, you know, what if that's how restaurants actually work? What if the viral marketing campaign was you open your restaurants just like normal, you have them fully staffed, everyone's in them, you know, ready to go, you got banners up promoting something, and then you just say, we don't have it. Like, or even, like, make a big promotion flag. Oh, yeah, Burger King now does rotisserie chickens or Yorkshire puddings or whatever meal, you know, thing that people would find interesting at Burger King. But then, you know, like, people go to the counter, they ask for it, they're like, nah, don't serve that. Or even more extreme, you know, I don't think a business would be able to get away with this. Just don't sell anything at all. Just have, you know, like, can I have a Whopper? Out of those. Can I have fries? Out of those. Can I have a cheeseburger? Out of those. What do you have in? Nothing. What are you doing at the till right now? You know, you'd have to ask my manager for that. Just everyone says that over and over again. It'd be a beautiful campaign, because the world would realize, because, you know, it'd be like, why do people keep going into Burger Kings and finding there's no burgers there? The world would realize really quickly, especially with some nudges from some social media people. Like, wait, Burger King just doesn't have any, like anything in there. And then people would go in and be like, you don't have anything? And like, because it'd be wacky for the whole world for one day not to have Burger King. What if it's not one day? What if it's 2 days? What if people start to wonder, like, when is Burger King coming back? I'm really hungry. It's my favorite thing. Because I learned recently Robert Downey Jr.'s favorite burger franchise was Burger King. And you know what? Bad taste in burger. You know, like, if you've got all the options available to you, which you do if you live in California, why would you pick Burger King? That's all I'm saying right here. But anyway, so I rambled on a lot. But my whole point here is that I think the absence of something is sometimes the best way to enjoy it more. I feel like, as much as I might hate destroying the flavor of the wonderful thing I've just had, sometimes it's best to start from scratch to enjoy it again. And that's why as soon as I've finished with these sand blocks, which you better believe we now have done, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna palate cleanse myself with a mint, because I guess that's like the Western version of that. Although, you know, I'd say a mint is a much more... Mint's actually an enjoyable flavor. If you ever had those chocolate mints, they're called Arthrates in the UK. Don't know if you have them overseas. But those chocolate mints you get, those are absolutely delightful palate cleansers. They get you ready for the day ahead of you. But yeah, we have now finished... Oh, no, it is one block. You know, this was... I almost just had a tragedy on my hands. We thought we were finished, but there was a whole block left over here. And also 2 over there, it seems. Also, there's like a layer next to the thing, which I'd argue these don't count as like needing to be removed, but just for the sake of completion, we'll remove these right here too. Just so it's clear that all the sand from the desert is removed, and all the sand from the surrounding river is too. It's exactly dry. Because sand is kind of wet, in the sense that sand is made of lots of different particles. You know, like you can drink a bag of crisps if you crush them up enough. That's not true, you can't do it. It tastes like sand. Which actually, you can't drink sand either. Can you drink sand? We should find out someday. But either way, this video has exceeded its initial parameters. Thank you for anyone who has stayed actively looking for the channel during the month where, again, there are stats telling me that the vast majority of people aren't being shown them. It's a rough thing to endure, but for those of you who stick around for it, thank you very much. For whether it's because you subscribe with the notifications, and I think that overrides that, or whether it's because you know, you're actively checking the channel, youtube.com/toycat, or you're following me on Twitter, whatever thing you're doing to get past that, or, you know, maybe it's just shown to you on YouTube and you're here anyway, like, oops, I don't do any of those things. It's fine, you know, I'm not going to say, you should do those now, although, actually, you should do those now, rate, favorite, subscribe, and also buy me a pony, because, you know, I'd like one, and, you know, the market rate's pretty high these days. Or you can just donate to me on a live stream, and that's kind of like money, because the channel membership thing we're doing right now has been really successful for January, where there aren't many money. But anyway, hopefully you decide to subscribe and see more of these videos. And if you don't, I understand. You know, I don't want to see me. And that's why, now that I do see me, I'm going to say goodbye forever.